Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. For it, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. There's almost a sense downtown in New York, behind me, down by the World Trade Centers, of just an area completely closed off as the rescue workers try to do their job. But this isn't the first building that has suffered as a result. We know that part of the Marriott Hotel next to the World Trade Center also collapsed as a result of this huge amount of falling debris from 100. The Trade Center appears to be still burning. We see these huge clouds of smoke and ash. We know that behind that there's an empty piece of what was a very familiar New York skyline, a symbol of the financial prosperity of this city, but completely disappeared now, and New York is still unable to take on board what has happened to them today.
Presumably there were very few people in the Salomon building when it collapsed. I mean, there were, I suppose, fears of possible further collapses around the area.
That's what you would hope, because this whole downtown area behind me has been completely sealed off and evacuated, apart from the emergency workers. That was done by the mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Phones are not working properly, the subway lines are not working properly. And we know that down there near the World Trade Center, there are 3 schools that are being turned into triage centers for emergency treatment. And I know that over in New York Harbor, where the famous Statue of Liberty is.
Jane, I think many of us, when we heard the news, perhaps on the radio earlier today, were
and the CIA
flabbergasted by it and just
said, we can't allow the truth to come out. We can't allow the truth to come out. We didn't blow up the building yet. We didn't blow up the building yet.
Oops. Properly, the subway lines are not working properly. And we know that
perhaps on the radio earlier today, sounded too far-fetched. I was wondering what it felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan. Perhaps we can rejoin her. Follow that up later.
So we should really start finding out the truth, people. Really should start finding out the truth. Because yeah, and see all the plumes of smoke coming all on the sides? Those are called squibs.
credibility was literally put to the test on a foggy morning in 1945.
The Empire State Building and all New York City were wrapped in fog as a B-25 Mitchell bomber trying to reach a nearby airport crashed into the tallest structure in the world. 13...
Yep.